Dan, great to be with you again. Tell us, what do you think is the most pressing threat facing Israel right now?
Chris, great question, because the default answer is the Iranian regime, Iran, Iran, and Iran. But my take is different, Chris. I think that Israel, the Jewish people, and American civilization is at a crossroads now and under direct threat from a convergence of radical Islamist direct action and radical left operatives in the United States. The United States has been penetrated politically, culturally over the last 30 years by this deathly convergence of radical left, what they call the red-green alliance. And it's no joke. It's serious. And what we're seeing on university campuses right now when they call for the Intifada revolution is a return to Marx, Lenin, and I would even go further than that and say there are elements of Nazi ideology. America, beware, because Israel is the canary in the coal mine.
And you see that with Iran as well, or do you see that with, is Iran's influence as well in the college campus?
Iran and Qatar are the primary funders of subversion on university campuses. And let's remember, Chris, university campuses are the hothouses for future political leadership. These are young women and men from 18 to 22, 23, graduate school to in their 30s, that are going to be the men and women of the U.S. House of Representatives, of future governments, and civil society and professional service. It is very serious when you see 15,000, according to the latest research that I found from the Heritage Foundation, 15,000 pro-Hamas demonstrations in the last 2 years alone. And that means that America is in danger, because they are not demonstrating for a Palestinian state. They are demonstrating for the destruction of Israel and the subversion of the United States. That's why they wear the keffiyeh. That's why they yell from the river to the sea. That's why they yell Intifada revolution right now. This is an attempt to dismantle and remake America in the image of Marx and Lenin.
The other threat facing is a nuclear Iran. And right now, the Trump administration is talking with Iran. Is there a concern about that?
There's definitely a concern in Jerusalem about what's happening in the direct talks with Tehran. But let's remember, President Donald Trump, the author of the best-selling Art of the Deal, is an economic warrior. And Trump has said that he wants to give negotiations a chance. And it is our assessment at the Jerusalem Center for Security and Foreign Affairs that what President Trump means is that he is going to dictate terms to the Iranian regime, the same Iranian regime that has been attacking the United States through its Houthi proxy in the Red Sea, the same Iranian regime that has attempted to assassinate the president, or certainly they planned that conspiracy, the same Iranian regime that has attacked America's greatest ally in the Middle East twice directly with ballistic missiles and drones, and the same Iranian regime that has yelled since 1979, death to America, death to Israel. The president knows who he is dealing with, but he wants to give a diplomatic pathway, an economically driven diplomatic pathway, a chance before going to military action, which he has not rejected. He has said it publicly. So we are really in a dual pathway. You want to talk about dual use? They talk about dual use, nuclear technology. This is called dual use. This is called dual pathway diplomacy. Credible military threat by the United States and Israel, at the same time, a credible diplomatic pathway.
The dangers you're talking about Iran and on what's happening in America, is Western civilization at a crossroads?
Absolutely. Western civilization is under attack. And what the Palestinian leadership has done so cunningly, if I might say, Chris, over the last 40 years. Remember Yasser Arafat in the 1970s being used by and using himself the Soviet regime in order to brand America a Zionist, imperialist, colonialist power together with Israel. This has been part of the Cold War strategy that continues today, but also uses much more profound acts of terror, as well as cooperating even with Sunni terrorists. Hamas, remember, is a precursor to Al-Qaeda. Remember that the Muslim Brotherhood is an Al-Qaeda precursor and an ISIS precursor. So there is this convergence of terrorism, hybrid warfare in the Soviet-Russian understanding of it, and the Chinese understanding of it, which is the combination of kinetic terrorism and off-battlefield political warfare. America has to wake up and understand. Mark Levine has made the argument. I know that you at CBN have been reporting on this for decades, but it is serious, and it is in America. Look outside your southern gate into Mexico. Look at the cooperation between Mexican drug cartels and the Iranian regime. Look at Venezuela, where only Iranians do not have to have a visa to get into Venezuela. Look at the tri-border area in Latin America, where Iran has poisoned and invaded, penetrated these countries, whether it's Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina. The Iranian regime is all over Latin America with its guns and its arrows pointed at the United States. And in the meantime, what Arafat did, Mahmoud Abbas did, and now the Hamas did, is trying to front Israel as the issue and divide Israel from its best ally, the United States, in order to distract the American people from its ultimate goal. And that is the destruction and the remaking of the United States.
Given these threats, what role does faith have in the Christian support for Israel?
It is possible to win this war. This is a war against Judeo-Christian civilization, and the victory will be one driven by Judeo-Christian civilization. And I will say that the JCFA is pioneering and path-breaking an entire diplomatic and political initiative to work together with the tens of millions of Christian Zionists in the United States and hundreds of millions around the world in order to save not only the Holy Land, but to save Western civilization. And I know it sounds very big, broad strokes, but there are very specific threats that we are talking about against the United States and the Western Alliance that have to be addressed, that will be addressed. And I think that, 12 to 15 million Jews in Israel and around the world are not going to be able to face the 1,800,000,000 strong army of Islam, and then even 15% or 20 million radical Islamists, but certainly 700 million Zionists, interfaith Zionists, together with the state of Israel, together with the government in the Holy Land. That was God's promise 3,600 years ago, and we have to maintain our side of the deal. Jews and Christians fighting for Judeo-Christian civilization, fighting to keep Western civilization alive and healthy and prosperous. And we can do it, but we've got to act, and we've got to act now.
Yeah. Dan Diker, thanks so much.
Thank you, Chris.